contains Japan's tallest mountain and its largest lake, Fiji and Biwa, respectively.
Is that where they get the water?
From Fiji?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. They probably get that from Fiji.
At the lake? I don't know.
No. That
was the mountain, Mount Fiji.
But it has the mountain water coming down, I'm sure.
As cold as the Fijis.
Okay, number 10. In which country did tarot cards originate?
Which country?
Yes.
Well, that's a good question.
Thank you.
The United States.
You think gypsy fortune tellers seeing it that's probably what's going to happen.
USA.
I like Don's unusual logic.
You should not like Don's logic. You should like Don's background, though.
Oh, Italy?
That's correct. It is Italy.
That's what I meant.
First,
you could have given me 180 guesses. I wouldn't have guessed Italy.
yeah, actually, it was introduced in Italy, and it was seen for the first time around the 1440s. A lot older than I would have thought. And the original 4 suits. Do either one of you guys know that by any chance?
Swords?
Nope. Swords is one of them. Yeah.
That's all I got.
I think I was the same way. I think all I would have gotten was swords, but it was swords. Huh?
Lady?
No.
No.
Swords, lady. They just put a bunch of little ladies in the corners. No, it's swords, batons, coins, and cups. Yes.
That's
all right.
strange.
And the last one. By what nickname was criminal Robert Stroud better known?
Robbie Rabble-Rouser.
I will give you half point.
Okay, thanks.
Because I cannot verify that someone never called him that.
Robbie, what's his name? Rob?
Stroud.
Robert Stroud. He might have been Robbie Stroud.
The name sounds familiar, but it's not linking up to anything.
Jeff, for reasons that I cannot describe, I feel like when you hear the answer, you're going to be upset. I just feel like you would know this.
Like Thelma and Louise?
Robert.
Maybe they changed their name.
And gender.
Well, that is on Don's mind.
No, it's not.
Don's always thinking about his sex change.
Are you going to give us any kind of like era
False.
or?
Yeah, I can. Actually, I don't know. I didn't get like a birth date or anything, but my one of my dates in here was 1911, which was when he was incarcerated, I believe.
Oh, that leaves many of the gangsters and mobsters out.
Yeah, I've got
Spent a
0.
long time in prison.
Birdman of Alcatraz?
The answer is the Birdman of Alcatraz. In 1911, he was convicted of manslaughter because, from what I can tell, Birdman was a pimp. You know, he had one of his girls go out to some bartender. The bartender refused to pay, so he just killed him because that's the next logical step.
Thing to do. Yeah.
And then he was jailed, and he was eventually moved into Alcatraz. He wasn't there right away. Like Birdman of Alcatraz, you'd think that he was just there the whole time. He wasn't. He was transferred there after a while, but he did spend 17 years in Alcatraz. And
He migrated there?
Yes. Very good. So the thing, he was actually, I think the reason he got moved there was because he was just known for being super violent, super difficult.
Yeah, he was a troublemaker.
Yeah, big time. So
That's why they called him Tommy Rabble-Rouser.
That's right. That's why Robbie Rabble.
Or Robbie, yeah, whatever.
That was a pretty good fact until you messed up his name.
Well, that's what the John called him Tommy, and that was the thing that pushed him over
well,
the
no,
edge.
see, the thing is there was 2 Robs, and they didn't want to get him mixed up, so they called him Tommy.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
It makes just as much sense as your crap does. And so he was quite fond of birds, I think. Like, it's from what I can tell, like, he actually
he wasn't actually a bird. I thought he was a bird man.
He could have looked like one.
No, he raised birds.
He could have had that
in
bird.
Prison.
Like, yeah, he bred birds, and they actually let him do a surprisingly amount of like hobbies with birds for being in Alcatraz.
I mean, maybe that kept
And
them
prison.
off their case.
Yeah, maybe
It's an old movie, and I'm not sure if it's black and white, which I know would put you off of it completely.
No.
But The Birdman of Alcatraz with Burt Lancaster is a really, really good movie. And I saw that, and I was like fascinated, and then I found out much of it was not actually fact. You know, as far as the way it went.
That's a
but the
bummer.
movie itself was really, really good. But it went on to highlight about how he had sort of redeemed himself. He became renowned in the ornithological, whatever it is, world because of the things he was doing with the birds and stuff like that.
You know what's funny is that I'm going to touch on this on the next show, is that when you have a specific subject, it's really hard to make a good movie, especially when people know about said subject. But when if you're going to make it's like for instance, like Star Wars, Phantom Menace. A lot of people don't like it. Oh, it's not very good. But if Star Wars never existed, Phantom Menace would have been the biggest movie of all time. Mm-hmm. It was because it was cool. It was space. It was lightsabers. A standalone movie without Star Wars existing would have been an amazing movie. Or Phantom Menace, I mean.
Probably. Yeah.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying, like, without a known universe and subject matter, movies that might not have been considered good try to hold up to a certain standard.
That being said, when they do like a movie or a film about somebody, and then they make a bunch of fake stuff up just to make the movie more interesting, I don't like that.
Right, but if they could have made the Birdman of Alcatraz, if they would not have associated with him with the Birdman and just made it about this particular guy, like a made up fictional character, it might have been a more accepted movie just based on the subject matter.
Just make your own. If you're gonna make stuff up, just make your own story.
Exactly.
Well, the problem with that is you got somebody like Birdman who's a fascinating subject, a fascinating story, but it's not all fascinating. And part of a movie is to entertain.
Yeah.
And how long do you want to drone on with the basics of stuff when you can sort of and I think more times than not that I found out with biographies is they usually change the order of things. Mm-hmm. I mean, like Queen, the one that just came out.
They changed the order,
right? Yeah, because it made a better story,
right? Because he did not know that he was
not the first one to leave the band, and he was not. He had to be convinced to come back. He was not all about doing Live Aid.
Right, and from what I can tell, he had no idea he had AIDS before Live Aid.
Nope. So the whole movie timeline is really
in the movie he was
well
aware.
That
of it.
annoys me. Like
it does, but
it's just
you have to look at it two different ways.
I get it.
I mean, obviously Queen exploded after that,
right?
And more people know about Freddie Mercury and about Queen than they ever did before. Do they know the entire true story? No, but it's more than what they did before,
right?
No, and hopefully it'll get people to take an interest and open up. And I think
especially
it's the same
a
thing
younger
with Birdman.
crowd.
And again, at the end of the day, these people are making movies to sell tickets.
Yeah,
and they have to put conflict where there wasn't conflict. I mean, you can see it in any biographical.
Well, yeah,
so that's very fair. They could be making you can make an argument that look, we're just drawing you in so that you can go learn about them yourself.
And I'm sure that's the argument they make by taking a little poetic license.
Yeah, and it's nice because now younger kids know who Queen is. Like, the movie comes out. A newer band remakes Bohemian Rhapsody. They do it well.
A lot of these.
My niece contacted me, or my niece's, my brother actually for my niece was contacting me. Hey, do you have any old vinyl?
Yeah,
with Queen.
Yeah, see, that's awesome.
And it is cool. I mean, I know we gotta move on. This isn't a discussion hour, but probably just as importantly for Queen, because Queen isn't they're not your typical rock band. That's why people loved them so much was because they weren't AC/DC, they weren't Aerosmith.
No. They had several different sounds.
They were just different, and they were cool and unique. Mm-hmm. And not that I would say he's unique as well. Well, he's unique, but we have the Elton John movie coming out, or just came out too.
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah. Is that out?
It's out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the same thing. People don't literally nowadays. Kids probably don't even know who Elton John is. They probably have heard of Queen. They may have heard an Elton John song or two, but they definitely don't know who he is.
Probably not. It's hard to say.
I would say Elton John is.
I'd say Elton John.
Considering he's still touring, I would guess that they have an idea.
I would say Elton John, they'd have a more chance of knowing than Queen before that movie came out.
Absolutely. I agree.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's still around.
He's still around and
doing his big farewell tour that lasts 3 years.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really interesting. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we're not going to go into it or anything, but I'd be really interested to know like an actual study on that, what they knew more about. All right, so
and that wraps up the Birdman of Alcatraz.
Yeah, and that was the Birdman of Alcatraz,
the only 20-minute question ever on
which half it wasn't about the Birdman.
No, I know.
All right, so Donald, you're gonna go next, buddy.
Okay,
I'll
make it.
Okay.
So this is on
Scarface. Oh, let's just keep going and.
Yeah, just forget the trivia for the rest of the show.
Yeah, let's just do Scarface quotes.
We had a question about a plant at one of our trivia nights.
Yeah.
It was the final question. And it was a question about the corpse flower. So that kind of made me like, there's a lot of weird, like, strange plants out there. So I'm going to talk about a few of them that may come up in trivia.
Nice.
So I'll start out. I'll talk a little bit about the corpse flower. And this is the largest single compound flower of any plant. So it's got the largest flower.
Yeah, I imagine you're going to talk about that's one that stinks pretty bad, though, right?
Yeah, it stinks like a corpse. It's not just a clever name.
Did you look at any pictures of that?
Yeah.
That is immense.
They have them at the Chicago Botanical Garden.
Do
they really?
Yeah. And every time, just before it opens up, there's like this huge news contingent that goes around it, and they will like monitor it day by day.
Yeah.
And you see all these people waiting to see, oh, I wonder if it smells as bad as they say it is. And then they always go, oh my God, that's awful.
Do you know why they gather like that? Why it's such a big deal?
It only happens once every blue moon. I mean, it's like, it doesn't happen like every day.
That's the scientific term. It happens once every blue moon, yeah. That's exactly what it says right here. No, okay. So it's one of the world's largest and rarest flowering structures. So the most interesting thing about this rare plant is the pungent smell and its frequency of the flowering. So for a new plant, so when it's first planted, it takes 7 to 10 years for the flower to bloom for the first time. Okay? And then after that, it only every 4 to 7 years. So most of them are 4 to 5 after that. So they do not flower often, and when it finally does flower...
And do each of them have their own timeline? I mean, it's not like all of them. Like It's not like the locusts that come every 7 years together.
No, they're not all synced up or anything. Okay. It's just how they develop and grow in their little ecosystem. So when it finally does flower, it only flowers for 24 to 36 hours. So, in a 14-year period, this thing could be a flower for 2 days, basically. So... If you haven't seen one of these, I would Google it. They are massive. Some are said to grow up to 12 feet tall with the stalk coming out of the center. The flower flowers lower to the ground, but the species was discovered in Sumatra. Although most grow between 6 and 8 feet, according to the Chicago Botanic Garden. That's what they say. But they can get up to 12 feet tall in the right ecosystem. The leaves can even go higher. They can get up to 10 to 15 feet tall. So, yeah, they're pretty big. They're about as tall as a tree. The other intriguing thing about this plant is the smell when flowering, obviously. It emits a smell that's similar to a decaying corpse, and there's a reason for it. So, where they're from, Sumatra, this was actually built in to attract pollinators like carrion beetles and flush flies. So, in that area, they don't have pollinating insects like we would here. So they smell like that to attract what's in the area. So pretty interesting, and there is a reason for that smell.
When was that? Do you know when the last time it bloomed in Chicago?
No, I didn't look that up.
It's been within the last year.
I think they have more than one.
I do too, and that's why I asked you about the whether they're synced or not, because I know I've seen the story more than every 7 years.
Right. I think they have a few.
But I think within the last year there was definitely one, maybe even in the fall, or I'm not sure what time what time of year. But
I definitely want to go see it.
And sometimes they bloom, or I think more often than not, they bloom at night too. So
I should probably not take my pregnant wife though.
She'd throw up everywhere.
She probably would.
All right, so another one is the Venus flytrap. So this is one of the only carnivorous species in the world of plant, right? No, not at all.
No,
there's actually
absolutely not.
Over 600 species.
What?
Several different methods for consuming their prey. So we're going to talk about a few of them. I'm sure we've all seen a video or heard like how a Venus flytrap catch their prey. They basically just snap down on unsuspecting flies and ants. But how does this work, and why are they attracted? Why are the bugs attracted to the plant? And how are they able to sustain life? So we'll talk a little bit about just carnivorous plants in general. So one is the sweet-smelling nectar. So the Venus flytrap produces like a nectar that lures its prey in. And this is a typical trick for most carnivorous species. So they put out this really sweet smell. Some of these Venus flytraps, they've actually seen emitting a fluorescent blue glow at night, too, just to attract their prey, too. I don't know if all of them do that or just some in certain areas, but it was crazy the picture I saw.